People of Reddit. What is not a religion, but people treat it with the same attention? Mommy groups started getting completely out of hand when my kids were teenagers. I'm a crunchy mom, I'm this kind of mom, or that kind of mom. Those people get rabid. How dare you listen to advice given to you from a doctor about your individual child? My group thinks this. Heresy, blasphemy, we will crucify you. They used to be helpful, now they are fucking cults. Don't forget the ones that are just tee alcoholism is trendy with the whole I'm a wine mom. Look, I snuck wine to the park. I'm not a wino, I'm a wine mom. I'm not an alcoholic, but my kids make me drink and I post online about how my kids are the reason I drink. Like, holy shit, there's a lot of merch for that, including ones for kids that say I'm the reason mommy loves wine / I'm the reason mommy drinks. How fucked up is that? ETA, since some people think I'm being overly harsh, moms need more support and ways to cope with the stress of raising another human being, cause none of us come programmed with that skill. It's a constant learning process, and in a world where mothers are expected to be perfect images, the stress especially of the last few years will kill you if you're not careful, and vices can become harmful. You drink one glass after kids in bed? That's chill. Or a glass with dinner. But if you're sneaking it in a McDonald's cup or putting your kids in shirts that say that they're the reason you drink, or getting so drunk you couldn't function in an emergency, that's on you and you alone, and you need to get some help. It's okay to get help. What's not okay is teaching your kids that you resent them in some way, shape, or form, and that alcohol is the only way you can cope. There's a time and place for everything, and finding a balance is how we handle stuff like that. To those who had to deal with the awfulness of addiction in your parents, I'm so sorry. You deserved better, truly. Disney. Especially when you go down to Florida. You have no clue the power that Cartoon Mouse has. I'll never forget the story about a cast member who played Goofy who was told these two kids just saw their parents killed in a car crash. One or both were beheaded from the crash and their kids saw it. We let them see the nightly Disney parade and were trying to get the Grand Marshal Mickey to meet specially with them. I don't remember the backstory on why they were at Disney. I think they were waiting for a family member or something, or they literally lost all they had and were waiting to figure out what to do with them. Kids were not injured at all. Guy did what he could as Goofy to cheer them up, but they were still in shock. He said he had to leave for a bit, pull off his mask, and just started sobbing. Anyway, Mickey finally shows up and, I shit you not, the kids' faces light up in excitement and happiness. That's the power of the mouse. Nowhere near as traumatic, like holy shit, but I beheld the power of the mouse before. Was working for Disney World at the college program, and there were announcements for the special extra ticket even that night, a pirate/princess party. The advertisement said pirates hamming it up and other such stuff, really background noise for me at this point. Cleaning up an area, parents talking to their little kid who's crying trying to calm him down. I come up and ask what's wrong, and it turns out they surprised him with the extra tickets. They were going to this, but he was scared because the pirates were gonna be there, and he went off on other little kid fears. Well, fuck. Some parents just paid for basically extra price for something a kid is absolutely terrified of doing, and there's no logic to it, so I go for my best superpower of bullshit. I crouched down and told the kid that in order to get into the Magic Kingdom the pirates had to agree to a bargain created by Mickey that if they tried to do anything they'd be magically cast out. Shit, kid believes me and is now super excited to go to the event. I didn't even have a costumed character there to back me up on this or anything. I was just a fucking custodian sweeping up dropped fries, but I worked there and invoked the mouse's name, and whatever I said was law apparently. Parents were delighted. I was frankly kind of freaked out. Crypto. Crypto is effectively a pyramid scheme. The whole thing is just an elaborate network of IOUs. If you don't have new people buying into them, there is nowhere for the money those coins are supposedly worth to come from, and there's no government backing them to either limit supply or guarantee value in the face of high demand. That's why crypto bros, at least the ones who have put some thought into what they're doing and aren't just trying to harvest clout from the latest bandwagon, are so evangelical about singing its praises, continually convincing new people to get involved is the only way the whole system doesn't come crashing down. If there's a run on a crypto exchange, the first certain number of people who try to cash out will get their money, and everyone else with their coins listed on that exchange are boned. For many people, coffee. Don't deny it. I work at a local gourmet coffee roaster. We spend a lot of time around coffee and trying everything as homework because we have to know a lot about all of it. But the customers that come in, while not always knowing anything about it, are on a whole different level of consumption. We have so many people who come in on a weekly basis for several pounds of coffee. Not knocking, all of the regulars are great and we know them by name at this point. Honestly, one of the coolest jobs I've had and an incredibly interesting industry and market. Never thought I'd know this much about bean juice. Apple products. Back in 2016, a German colleague was on a work trip with me in Portland. He kept wanting to visit the Apple store in downtown. I kept telling him it's just a cult selling products, but he kept very optimistic and praising the genius of Tim, Apple, Cook and Steve Jobs. We get there on a Sunday and it is located across the street from a big old stone church. The Apple store looks like a giant glass cathedral across the street from the church. I go into the store with him and after 3 minutes I tell him I have to get out of there because the place is packed and I don't like crowds. People were spilling down between the long tables checking out all the products like they were lining up for Apple Communion. I waited outside for my colleague for about 20 minutes and noticed the church across the street was letting out. More people were coming out off the Apple store than the church, and some churchgoers were coming to the Apple store for more religious fixings. My colleague finally came out and looked defeated. He told me he spent over $1,500 on Apple products from the Apple Genius priests. He said, "Ja, it's a cult." Youth sports in the United States. Particularly football. Insane culture. Edit, third graders playing tackle football despite the information we have on the danger of repeated concussions. 7-year-olds in the pouring, cold rain because football is too tough to cancel for weather. The schedules are a commitment for the entire family and they're constantly changing with no regard to what people may have had to do to plan for the schedule in the first place. And we all just roll with it. All of it. Crazy. Second edit, because I'm at a game right now, people have video cameras and tripods set up filming their kids' flag games. All the travel sports, if your kids are not on one their entire childhood, in many districts they won't stand a chance making high school teams. Youth sports has become a hustle culture of its own. Extra clinics, paid coaches, camps, out-of-town tournaments, entire weekends and summers compromised, all starting at 7 to 8 years? Full disclosure, both my kids are on one competitive team each and we love it. There's a positive social aspect to it and we've made some good friends. That said, some parents take it way too seriously and have their kids to 2 to 3 travel sports all throughout the year. Give 'em break. AA. Seems I didn't have to scroll too far to find this. I've got a mixed view on this one. As what I would consider a former member of AA/NA, I do think it does a lot of good for a lot of people. It gives people hope, structure, and probably most importantly a community. However, all those points can be double-edged. The hope always flows from very particular 12-step possibilities. The structure again imposes a very particular way of life that one needs to conform to, meetings/steps/sponsorship, etc. And the community can be very insular and also suspicious/excluding of those who don't conform. My personal opinion is that addiction, recovery, and healthy living are very complex and varied, and 12-step organizations can't really account for the whole gamut of possibilities, and so therefore flat out reject or ignore those possibilities to protect their own outlook/ideology. Thank you. I have tried AA so many times. It's just not for me. It's so dogmatic, and some of the holy rollers of AA have this huge superiority complex they inflict on others. I'm glad it works for some people in establishing lifelong sobriety, but it is just not for everyone. And they hate that. One of the main things of AA is that it's the one true path to sobriety, and that's just not realistic. The Confederacy. It lasted 4 years. 4. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate has existed for longer than the Confederacy ever did. And yet, people treat it as though it's an ultra-important part of their heritage and culture. Don't tell people to get over slavery if you still haven't gotten over your ability to own slaves.